Hey guys, gonna do a face lather today. Soaking my brush. This is a B5 knot, same that I used yesterday. Vintage restored aluminum handle, Rubberset 400. The soap we're going to use, same as yesterday, the Prix de Provence, a French soap, number 63. Great warm, spicy smell. Lasts a long time. It's quad milled. It's a vegan soap. The razor we're going to put, the razor blade we're going to put in the razor is this feather. It's been used 45 times. So 46 is today. Here's the little X and dot kind of signature I put on there to kind of show that it's the same blade each time. And the razor we're going to put it in is this. This is a Canadian Gillette Tech, a vintage razor, and it's on a newish, I think it's an Italian Barber HD handle. I got it at a crazy good deal. It's stainless steel, so in just a few bucks, and so I said, hey, let's do it. It looks kind of neat, why not? And just to show you the Canadian notations, made in Canada, 1932, Gillette logo, patent Canada, and then this is a Y2. The Y will tell you what year it is. I don't have that memorized, but I believe I have it in the description of the razor on the video here. And so if you look in the description, maybe even the title, hopefully you'll be able to see that. So just dropping that feather in there. Some people say feathers are so sharp that they dull quickly. Well, 45 uses, doing fine. Okay, give my face a little wetness. Oh, I'm missing a towel. There we go. All right. Now, yesterday I did a 60-second load with this same brush, same soap. And then it didn't really matter how much water I added. I think it was just 2.5 teaspoons, maybe even 1.5, I can't remember. But the point is, I'm going to do the same thing today, or at least load the same way. Then I'm going to do a face lather. I ended up with 6 passes of comfortable, working, slick lather yesterday with this same amount of loading. It was too much. I'm going to compare it. I'm going to do a face lather today, no bowl, and see what we end up with. Do we end up with a skimpy third pass, which would indicate that if you want to really make your lather last longer, your soap last longer, it's best to get a bowl, which I kind of already know it is. Chiseled face test proved that. But let's see how it works with the Prix de Provence and with this big brush. All right. So the soap has been soaking for about the same time as it did yesterday. So I'm going to take it, pour out the bloom water, same as yesterday. I do have hard water and it's fairly cool since it's winter. I'm going to shake. This is a knot. It holds a lot of water. Just like yesterday, I'm going to shake most of it out. Now we're going to do a 60-second load, and since the 0 minute was going to roll around right there, I thought I'd wait until then. Just moderate pressure, moderate to light, not splaying the brush very much. This is a dense knot, so it's kind of got a lot of backbone at this point. One of the reasons it probably gathered up so much soap. Will I end up with plenty of lather extra? See, with the face lather, you end up flushing a lot of the nice concentrate down when you rinse off that first pass. And so that's why you just don't end up getting as much use out of your lather. 15 more seconds. And then with the bowl lather, I ended up with that same nice lather available for all 3 passes. Whereas with the face lather, most of the time I am going to bring my bowl here just so I can have something to set my brush down in. All right, let's clean up. I'm going to pause you while I kind of clean up a little bit of mess here. All right, now we can just go ahead and start face lathering. I'm going to keep it light at first to perhaps not squeeze out water from the brush. I want to try to make sure that water mixes with the soap. Already it's starting to leak out, so just taking it easy. Maybe I need to shake out, more water, but I kind of wanted to stay with the same load paradigm. So in a way it's comparable. But the same loading may not be the best face lathering type of loading. It's possible that I may want to load with, as you can see, it's just making a mess. Didn't do that with a bowl, but maybe a drier load might be more, might give me a better face lathering experience. Instead of doing the round scrubbing, how about we do a little bit of painting like this and see maybe if we can build up the lather without generating the flying wasted soap. Just wasted lather. And there's no point in adding water to this if it's just going to fling the soap off. So I need to kind of wait. I think I need to wait until the lather kind of stabilizes a little bit. It starts to kind of firm up a little bit, so that if when I add some water, it just kind of bonds and sticks with it instead of getting all loosey. This is definitely more of an arm workout than the bowl lathering. Of course, it may be just different muscles and I'm not used to that, I do feel like it's a bit of a chore. It's not very interesting. Only so much of this that my face really enjoys, The lather is starting to get a little thicker. So now take the syringe and just so I can kind of measure how much water I add. And it's also just makes it easier to add just a few drops. But I don't have, a crazy amount of lather going on here. So it kind of seems like what I'm going to end up with on my third pass is going to be skimpy. Let me try to use my neck here as kind of the proving ground where I just kind of work the lather. Maybe that'll help to keep it from just going all over the place. Then spread it around a bit. See, look at that. Come on now. Well, I definitely think if you're going to do this, at least if you have skin like me, if you're going to do this, you better have a really soft brush, because there's so much work on the face that you could definitely get brush burn. There we go. I'm just going to stop because this is not fun. Just going and working and working it, working it. It's just not, for me at least, not enjoyable. So I know I have some concentrate on my face, maybe a little bit left in the brush. Hopefully that's enough to keep me going for the next passes. All right, well, the knurling on this handle makes it so that even when my hands are wet, it's nice. The handle is solid, so it does have a good bit of weight to it. Now, this is not slicing through my hair as nice as the newer blade that I used on this razor just maybe a couple of weeks ago. And it's quite tuggy. So it looks like maybe this head doesn't quite have the geometry for this feather. The good news is that once we remove most of this stubble, just about any blade gets a lot more comfortable. Guaranteed, at least with all the times I've done it. There we go, rinse. All right. One thing you may want to do is kind of leave your face really wet to help with adding water to the lather. Now with bowl lathering, you would just kind of spread it around a little bit because your lather's already ready to go. And I guess I have enough lather on my brush to do that. So I definitely don't feel like I got the best lather that I could because it just got tedious. I feel like working it in a bowl, you're able to move quicker and the lather just builds up quicker. Whereas here you're traveling quite a bit across your face, and I think that just is a little slower to build the better lather. You get a lather, fairly quickly. Oh, look, got a little nick right there. How about that? That's a little bit more than a nick. I must have cut on a lump or something like that. I don't know if I have a mole there or that's just that little thing in front of your ear that kind of, no, I do have a bump right there, some kind of mole thing. All right. That was a much better pass, no tugging or anything like that. One thing that just hit me, I think the repetitive nature of the bowl lather. You're just sitting there mixing. Let's see if we can add some water to this to help this come alive. I don't know if I'll drown it out or help it to build some more. The repetitive nature of the bowl lathering can kind of be done mindlessly. Whereas with the face here, you kind of got to think about it a little bit, but I guess, part of it can just kind of come, it just becomes muscle memory and you kind of do it without thinking about it. So I guess maybe that's not very much of a point. But to me, you can actually think about other things while you're sitting there mixing in a bowl. Whereas I'm having to constantly watch the lather and try to figure out when the soap is about to fly off the brush and get wasted. And yeah, here I am, skimpy third pass. And I had yesterday at this point, after applying the lather on the third pass, it was more generous and more luxurious, and I had 3 more passes in the bowl. That's the difference. This is a quicker shave, so you just have to pick which kind of shave you like. Cross grain again. So while this was Tuggy, we are ending up. It feels very nice. This razor is handling the feather really well. I feel confident. I mean, I do feel the blade a little bit, and I think if I were to get careless, like I did right there, I could definitely create some razor rash or something like that. But it was fairly easy to zip around with it. I may have to whip out the styptic pencil to stop that guy from bleeding. I haven't had one like that for a long time. The closeness makes me think I need to hit that in my neck one more time. Okay, so a little bit of half rinse off. Let's see if we can coax a little more lather out of the brush. And there we go. That's really what we should have done for the third pass. I don't have to do that when I'm in a bowl. I just have plenty of lather. Nice consistent feel. Many times when I'm shaving this area, I start to feel a little bit of irritation because I'll run into an area where it's against the grain, but this razor, the geometry is just right for a comfortable shave in this zone. And I'm spreading around the lather, just kind of reapplying it to make sure this area has good lubrication, protect myself. Otherwise, it'll be a wasted touch-up pass because I'll just walk away with some irritation. Well, there we go. I'm happy with the result. 46 shaves with a feather, and it's still doing fine. Rinse. All right. Well, for those of you who don't know how to use an alum block to heal a cut, I think it's mostly stopped, and so that's why I'm going to use this. The way it was bleeding earlier, I thought I might have to use a styptic pencil. It is a stronger sting, not as comfortable, but I haven't found a shaving wound that it won't heal. It's just concentrated and it really clots well. This is a salt, and so you just kind of wet the end of it and just kind of rub it over the bleeding area. Stings just a little bit, not very much at all, really. And smaller cuts, this is just the way to do it. One of the key things is to make sure you rinse this off of your skin, because especially if you're prone to dry skin, give it a couple minutes. Some people use it across their whole face to kind of be an astringent and that sort of thing, but it's a salt, especially if you have dry skin. I would encourage you to skip the alum totally. Some popular YouTubers have used it on a regular basis, and they tell you it's a diagnostic tool, and that's true. But I tell you what, so's cool water. I can feel stings with cool water where maybe I've cut a little too closely or a little bit too much of a rush or some razor burn. And so I just don't use this anymore. I'm going to rinse it off. And then, since it's a salt dissolves in water. Make sure you dry it off. And then it can go right back in the little container it came in. If you sit it in water, it's just going to dissolve. Now I'm going to rinse off. All right, we're all rinsed off. I'm really happy with the cut, the closeness of today's shave. Comfort was high. That tugging that I felt, which was kind of significant on that first pass, is long gone. It wasn't something that stuck around with me at all. It basically disappeared right after I lifted the razor off my face. Did that first rinse and I was ready to go, and it was comfortable from then on. And if I was to keep using this feather with this razor, I'd probably just bend the feather and say 46 is as much as I'm willing to do. But I've got more aggressive razors that often prove to let me be able to take a blade longer, because just the geometry. It's all about the geometry, the way the blade comes out between the safety bar and the top cap, where is it? High, low, in, out. All these kind of things can make a difference and can take a blade that's unusable in one razor and just fine in another. And I think feathers are expensive. So if I can make them last even 30 uses, then that really turns them into budget blades. And so that's pretty cool. That means I can just go out and buy really the most expensive blades out there, and they're just pennies, less than a penny per shave, and that's terrific. That's pretty cool. But I'm curious. Feather just has such a reputation. I've taken a Nasset to 220 uses. It's not done yet. And so I'm really curious. A feather has been taken by other people to 100. Hopefully I can do that. We'll just see. All right. Well, I'm going to clean up, and I'm going to go head down and find a balm. All right. I chose Tuscany tonight. Stirling post-shave balm. So it's kind of flower like a cypress. I think it's got cypress and maybe, can't remember if it's violet or orchids or something like that. But then it's got spices as well and bergamot. And what that combination makes me think of is kind of a wild cherry scent. That's just kind of what comes across, kind of a dark wild cherry. I like it a lot. And just to show you, I use the Gentleman John alum block, but it doesn't matter. Alum is alum. It just really doesn't matter. There was somebody who was offering alum broken chunks for just a couple dollars or even $1. I can't remember, a couple years ago. In retrospect, I should have just bought one of those, because this thing has barely changed size, and I've, in 3-4 years. And so it's going to last me my whole life, and maybe my son's. Well, I like the HD handle. It's heavy for its size. If you like that sort of thing, I think it would be a good option for you. Grip is not a problem at all. It gets a little fatter on the end here, and so if you do kind of grab the end for those pull type strokes, you're not going to have any problem there. It is kind of fat and chunky when viewed here, so visually speaking, it's not a great match. However, most of the time you're going to be looking at it this way, and I think it aesthetically works pretty nice that way. So I think that's pretty good. Pretty good. I like the balance of it. It's definitely more handle focused since this head barely has any weight at all. But I just had no problem moving around with it. The weight can help you move through hair more smoothly, because you don't feel the hairs catching. It just kind of goes right through them. All right, well, I'm a happy camper. We're done. And so this face lathering, to me, it was it feels more like work than something I enjoy, like the one that I do the bowl lathering. But each to his own. This is faster by a few minutes, and so that might be worth it. Some people, if they have brushes that they really enjoy, they might like that extra time spent with their face. And I can also see why face lathers are more picky about their soaps. See, I was able to get a fine lather out of this soap with kind of the same effort that I use for other soaps, but when I was bowl lathering. But with face lathering, this soap it requires more work. And so I could definitely see why a face lather would say, that soap sucks. I'm going to stick with, some easier crope to lather with or something like that. So I could see that happening. I might have to do this similar test with a reputable hard soap like D.R. Harris or Mitchell's Wool Fat or Fine Accoutrements or Tabac or something like that, because I don't think that this particular soap is quite as nice of a base for that type of comparison. So, wow, a vast difference. 3 extra passes of lather with bowl lathering, and the third pass was more luxurious with bowl lathering. Second pass as well. And actually, to tell you the truth, the first pass was too. It just, it was less messy. It felt less like a chore. So those are just some differences. Give it a shot. Give both a shot and see what you think. See what you like. There's room for everybody with shaving. Pick your style. I'm happy with the closeness on my cheeks, very much, on my neck. We're good. All right. The Tuscany smells nice. It's very light and casual. And I don't think it matters too much, but the almost used a teaspoon of water added to the brush. So there we go. Ooh, face lathering experiment. All right, now, there we go. I sure learned something. It's good to know those sorts of things. Be able to talk intelligently about face lathering, at least some aspects of it. I'm not an expert, so I can't talk authoritatively about it. And I hope there's been something good here for you tonight. Putting more uses on the 63 so that I can do kind of a usage test. After I've got about 15 uses or so, I'll be able to maybe predict how long by measuring the differences in the weight. I'll measure how long this puck will last me. I expect it to be quite a long time, and it's a cheap soap, and so I think that is where it excels. It's very inexpensive, and it still lasts a long time. Its cost per shave is probably going to be super low. Great scent. I love it, and the performance is reasonable, practical. It's slick. You know, it's a little bit of a chore. I think it lends itself more to bowl lathering, definitely, but those are its pros. Its ease of lathering, at least with the face, is a little bit on the low side, and the slickness, it's not going to be super creamy for you. At least I haven't found a way to make it that way. All right, there we go. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. You take care. Good night.